Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get to the watch list, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in my bio section of social media accounts. Also, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Now looking at the put to call ratio for the week, it's at 0.56. It's pretty low. It could be lower. If you look at the daily on the CPCE, it likes to bottom out at 0.50, so it's close. We'll have to see what happens on Monday, but it could be lower, but it is getting pretty low. So we'll have to see what actually happens with that. Now looking at the economic calendar, for the week, let's see. Just trying to get the calendar pulled up here. Why am I having such a hard time? Okay, I had the wrong window open. I had so many tabs open, it's ridiculous. Monday the 1st, we have ISM manufacturing PMI at 10 o'clock. Don't see anything else. Tuesday, we have JOLTS job openings at 10 o'clock. Some Fed speakers. We have a few Fed speakers in the afternoon from 12 to 1. Wednesday, we have final services PMI at 9:45. ISM services PMI at 10. We have Powell at 12:10. Make sure you write that down. Thursday, we have unemployment claims at 8:30. A couple Fed speakers in the middle of the day, in the afternoon, I should say. And on Friday, we have unemployment rate and a Fed speaker. So make sure you check out the economic calendar every single morning before you trade or you do anything, because sometimes things just sneak up. With that said, not really going to cover that much for the watch list. VIX is getting pretty low. It's at 13. Well, it closed above 13, but it might get pushed to maybe 1250 or even under 12. But lately, that's been the bottom. It's been 12. But it has a green candle right here. The last green candle we have. Usually, when we have a green candle at the bottom, it usually pops. Green candle 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 pops. Sort of pops. Green pink candle pops a little bit, and we got a green candle down here at 13, so we could see a pop. Just keep an eye on VIX, SPY. We got earnings coming up. We just had the end of the quarter. We'll probably start having earnings in the next month. I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous. This run, it's just all these candles are outside the Kettler channel on the weekly. This is not natural. It does not like to do that. It doesn't like to do it. Right over here, I did it a few times and it finally came back in. But we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 weeks of outside the Kettler channel. The RSI is above 80 on the weekly. The RSI is dropping on the daily. A histogram is dropping. MACD is dropping. We got a bearish divergence on the daily. RSI very, very high on the weekly, bearish divergence on the weekly's histogram. So problem is we have these bearish divergences and they're just not dropping. It's not dropping. We've seen this before with Roku and Baidu back years ago. That divergences can happen. They can last for days. They can last weeks. Sometimes they can last for months. And as you can see, SPY has been diverging on the daily since mid-December. So here we are, almost April, or actually technically April Monday. So yeah, we've been 3.5 months diverging. We'll have to see what actually ends up happening. So I would watch underneath 520. If we get a push to 520, 510. Hold on a second. have to pause the video for a second. Okay. Yeah, so we get underneath 520, 510, actually 515, 510. There's a lot of gaps. If we're going to gap down here to fill at 500, but you know, we dropped to 500, we're probably going to end up bouncing because we get gap support right here at the 503, 502 area. What is the low on that? 503. So we're probably going to bounce right there, or we'll do a partial fill, get to 500, then we'll bounce. So definitely see what happens with that. SPY needs to pull back, but I mean, SPY can just keep going and keep grinding and grinding and grinding, but it's just, you would think that we're going to get a pullback sooner or later. There's all kinds of things happening, but it's not pulling back. It's ignoring everything. The inflation going up, supply problems, war problems, all kinds of issues, political problems, but the market's just ignoring everything and grinding up, and eventually it is gonna catch up, because every time it does ignore news, really important news like this, it ends up catching up, and catching up hard. The question is when. It could be tomorrow, it could be Monday, it could be next month. We don't know, so we'll have to see what happens. I know it's an election year. I still think we're going to get a big pullback before summer, then they're going to ramp it up and bring it back to all-time highs for elections, make Biden look good. So I do not see them continuing this run all the way till November. I mean, we need to have at least a 10-20% pullback before then. I cannot see this keep grinding up, because it keeps grinding up like this. We're going to be at, SPY is going to be at 600 by November, and that's just, there's earnings, the EPS is not going to match that. There's too much hope and hype going on. It's gonna end badly. So with that said, I'm going to go to the next one. BA, Boeing. No, Boeing's not having very good news. I had a nice little bounce right here, where I said it would a couple weeks ago. I would watch over 195. Cup and handle. You got a cup and you got a handle right here. So I would watch over 195 or push to 200. If it gets over 200, we could probably end up seeing another ramp up to the 215, 220 area on that. So, and let's see. Then what with Meta? I can't even read my own writing. It's so messy. Meta, it's starting to actually look like it's actually pulling back, but hopefully it will pull back. We got a nice big red candle here, but we had a red candle here and it just recovered the next week. So we'll have to see if this actually will matter. It needs to get underneath this 480 level. It gets under 480. RSI is coming down a little bit on the weekly. It's coming down quite a bit on the daily. RSI is really low on the hourly. I mean, this thing could end up bouncing. I mean, I'd like to see it go lower under 480 down to get 475, 470, 455, 450. But RSI is getting pretty low in the hourly. If the market keeps grinding up, we're going to end up probably going back up to 525. But I'm not interested in Meta in calls whatsoever. It's way overextended. It needs to come down. And if it does manage to get below 480, that's the only thing I'd be even looking at on Meta on that. Just not interested. Otherwise, Microsoft, bearish divergence going on. The RSI histogram didn't really pull back much. It started to pull back a little bit, probably more like a flag, then it popped, and it rejected the 430 area, pulled back a small weekly candle on that. So I would watch underneath 420. If I push to 415 to 410, 405, 400, 400 probably the short-term bottom. One other thing is that these things could keep grinding up, and they could have a huge earnings miss. And a lot of these stocks are up so massive, could end up coming back to reality. So, which earnings won't be for another month, so kind of far away. But anyways, Microsoft not really interested in calls over 430. I mean, you can if you want, but me, I'd be watching the downside. It's get some room. not a ton of room. I think it's got room to 400 unless something really, really bad happens, and it's got lots of room down to 340, 350 area of Microsoft. So Tesla, let's see. Tesla, I mean, it's starting to look okay. You get an inverted head and shoulders. You get the left, you get the head, and you get the right shoulder right here. So if it gets over 180, over this 180 area, you could end up seeing a pretty significant move. Actually, you'd probably see 182. But it gets over 182, probably push to 190, 200. So we could see a strong move out of Tesla. This inverted head and shoulders could end up playing out. And it's at the bottom of the Keller channel, and it likes to bounce when it gets there, but it hasn't really had much bounce. Bear flagged, more low. So hopefully this is not another bear flag, but it's getting pretty low. The RSI is below 40 on the weekly. Doesn't usually get that low, and when it does, it usually gets bought up pretty quickly, like right here. Went under 30, and it had a nice little run. So I could end up seeing a push to 200. That's probably where it's going to really have trouble struggling right here, because you get the RCT trend line right here in the middle Keller channel at 200, and plus being a big round number, that could be a huge wall for Tesla. Now Netflix is something else I'd keep an eye on. It's pulled back, but earnings is coming up. And Microsoft, Netflix likes to run for earnings, but it's already up here. It's up to the 640 area. I mean, it was all-time highs at 700. I can't imagine that that we're going to run to 700 on before earnings. I think that if anything, we're probably going to pull back. The RSI is pretty high on the weekly, so I would watch under 600 for push to 575. 550, then you get this 535 area for gap support from the last earnings. So but then again, you never know. I mean, this Netflix, I'm always skeptical of stocks that run really, really hard into earnings, because they usually end up missing. They get too much hype. You rarely see a stock run hard into ER and beat, or dump hard and miss. Yeah, it's pretty rare. You don't usually see that. So that's why I'm always skeptical of a major dump going into ER that it's gonna pop, and major run, and that it's gonna end up missing. So it's not 100%. Don't go out and go crazy, but it's just something I've noticed over the years. It's very rare for them to push it and to beat, or to dump and then to miss. So it's not too often. So definitely be looking at the downside on Netflix. NVIDIA just, this thing is just crazy. Every time it starts to look like it's going to actually top out or peak, it just keeps going. It peaked right there and it dropped and just went sideways. It kind of looked like it was going to drop, and it ended up flagging and tested all-time high. I came close to it, pulled back. So I mean, I would like to keep an eye on it underneath, we'll say 890. It gets on to 890. It's got room to 850. And it breaks the 850 area. It's got some room to drop down to 800. But I mean, NVIDIA, I mean, look at the weekly. The candles outside, it's just like SPY. All the candles are outside the Keller channel. This doesn't happen too often. It's rare that usually you get one or two, maybe three. 4 is extreme, but this is months outside the Keller channel. This doesn't usually happen too much. So yeah, I would keep an eye on that. Under what I say, 890. Yeah, 890. I'm sorry, I'm just having a brain fart. My wife's texting me as I'm doing my video. So with that said, that's really all I'm looking at. We'll just see how the week goes. Like I said in the recap video, if you've watched it, most people just haven't. But anyways, we've just been getting chop after chop. I mean, look at SPY's daily candles. I mean, there's just nothing to these candles. They're just so puny. The green days are so much bigger than the red days. The red days we have are just choppy, very controlled, and it's just going nowhere. And something needs to happen. We need to have some volatile days. We need to have these kind of days again, where we're getting, what are these moves, like $5-6 moves per day, and we're not getting $5-6. The Thursday was what, $1.50. That's just pitiful. And this is like $1. Not even a dollar. High is 520. It's 521. $1 plus. I mean, this is just very, very pitiful. We need to have some range. Something needs to happen. I do not like this. So, with that said, that's going to do it for the watch list. And we're just going to take it day by day and just see what happens in the morning and just go from there. So, that's going to do it. And thanks for watching.